Ladies and gents, welcome to Rex, and this is US military just went full send on Iran. Is that a term? Full send. Is that a military term? I don't know. But I'm guessing they launched 49 Tomahawk missiles. Now that's a lot. Obviously, the previous time they launched God knows how many hundreds and thousands of Tomahawks. But that was basically one of the biggest assault in modern history. Let's not downplay 49 Tomahawks. That's a large number because it was all at once. So yeah, near 50 cruise missiles, and not to mention many other things as well. Standoff missiles as well, I'm guessing. Probably other standoff cruise missiles, Hellfires probably. Yeah, F-16 CJs, F-15Es, F-35s, F-18, like all of them. They throw all the numbers and acronyms at it. It's going to be interesting. Let's do this one.
USS Michael Murphy turned into the wind and started emptying her vertical launch cells. That's Tomahawk missiles, one after another. And I love sound effects if you couldn't tell. 49 of them before the night is over, arcing towards radar sites, communication hubs, air defense batteries, and IRGC leadership.
Those are not Tomahawks. They were burning. Tomahawks don't have afterburners, so those are different things. But that looks like Hellfire. What is that? Is that actual Hellfire missiles? I don't know.
Headquarters in Iran, sending a very clear message. But not only Tomahawks, also fighter jets. CENTCOM posted an image of an F-16 CJ, likely the one going in, striking the different communication hubs.
Yeah, like all CJ thing. But can we take a second and think about the clip? Imagine witnessing that. This is literal Hellfire. How many missiles are dropping? How do you see that and not understand that you should not F with United States? Why are they not getting message? Look at every time, like in Venezuela, I saw the clips of helicopters shooting Hellfire missile one after another, blowing things up. Now in here, I see things just blowing up left and right. Pan left, explosion. Pan right, explosions. No, like in Ukraine, Russia, things I don't see at this way. The continuous one after another. Like complete horizon filled with missiles dropping. I don't see things like that. I don't see things like this anywhere. It's only when USA is involved. How are they not getting message? Like USA can, attack with overwhelming force.
And radar sites. This wasn't just near the coast. This was
look
across
at that. This is
the
one.
entire
Look at that. It stars
Iran.
falling. Look at that.
Nazarabad, Peshawar, southeast of Tehran, Bandar Abbas, Qasem Island. So the sites right in the Strait of Hormuz, but also leadership sites across the country for the IRGC for the second straight night. American precision weapons walked across the entire Iranian map, and the last impacts landed just before sunrise. And it's supposedly going to get more intense tonight. So look at this post on Truth Social from President Trump. Here's what he said. The United States will be hitting Iran, whose Navy, Air Force, radar, anti-aircraft, and all other forms of defense, together with most of its offensive capability, are gone very hard tonight. And at some point in the not too distant future, we will be taking Karj Island. This is just wild. And other oil infrastructure points. And
so that's why Marines are there, by the way. For past 3 months, Marines like, oh, look at the stars. Aren't they pretty? Okay, and just sitting there. They're like, okay, I guess finally we're doing this.
Assume total control of their oil and gas markets, much like we have with Venezuela, which is working out brilliantly for both Venezuela and the United States of America. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So what a wild announcement there that Karj Island will be being taken here shortly. And the IRGC is going to respond as they do. They called it an evil move by the enemy. They put attack drones over the U.S. Fifth Fleet's home port in Bahrain and the Ali Al Salim base in Kuwait. They threw a long-range missile at Azraq Air Base in Jordan, which houses the F-35s, so very important base there. And they promised that if America keeps this up, heavier responses.
1,200 miles, does that count as an ICBM? I mean, ICBM has like solid fuel in it. Are they saying they have ICBM now? Yeah, all right. If you had it, you would have launched it by now.
Are on the way. And they're claiming that the entire Strait of Hormuz is shut down, while CENTCOM fact-checked them and said, no, actually, hundreds of vessels are still transiting the Strait of Hormuz. So again, the rhetoric doesn't stop. but the capability of Iran just continues to go down. And with this new announcement of their energy infrastructure being struck and taken, this is going to change the entire board. We're going to get into all of that throughout this video. Iran's Joint Military Command went one step forward, and they're saying it's going to stay closed forever, but Karj Island and other oil infrastructure points will be assumed by the United States of America. And we've talked about this on some previous videos before, but at this point, we've got the Marine Expeditionary Unit. We've got lots of special operations forces that are teamed up with air power. This is one of the biggest air power campaigns in all of the United States' history, and they're going to turn it on against Karj Island. That's the terminal that roughly handled.
Last time, special teams like Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 went inside Iran to rescue F-15 pilot. It was one-sided massacre. There was no casualties from United States Special Forces, obviously, while other side were mostly completely deleted and just left behind underwears and things. What do you think is gonna happen when these are the same team and Marines are gonna be tasked with holding an entire island? You think you're gonna stop them? You think you just throwing missiles at them gonna matter? They just put air defenses there. All right, fine, here's some Patriot batteries. Okay, send your missiles, go ahead. Maybe they'll put Aegis system there as well. Like, okay, go ahead.
Past tense, roughly 90% of Iran's crude exports before the war. So President Trump isn't talking about just bombing it, he's talking about owning it and taking full control of it, which I think is a great move. Take control of it, strangle that money even more out of the mullahs. You guys have heard me talk about this before. They're a bunch of mafia bosses. We know this at this point. I mean, I think it's pretty clear. They can't come to the table with any resemblance of a deal that actually makes sense and has common sense involved. Instead, they're so hardline that they're like, no, we'd rather just go down with the ship. I mean, think about these guys that are getting on these fast attack craft in the Strait of Hormuz. And they're like, yeah, this seems like a good idea. The boss is like, hey, jump on that fast attack craft. We're sure it will go fine. And he's like, well, what happened to the last couple guys? And he's like, well, they just didn't come back yet. They're out on a scenic sunset cruise at this point, which you'll be on soon as well. Go ahead, get out there, little buddy.
See, the problem with that is you assume there is a choice. Either there is no choice or they are completely in the blind. They don't get the news and they think like, yeah, we can do this. It's that or either the other thing. That's it. There is no like, we can stop America. We know what America is, but we can stop America. Nobody would think that. To me, it feels like they probably don't have a choice. Like, yeah, you're going there. Take the speedboat.
This is the level of insanity that the IRGC operates with. So the fact that they couldn't come to the table with any resemblance of a negotiation, it doesn't surprise me. Because remember, Agarachi, Pezeshkian, these guys that are the westward-facing leadership of Iran, their bosses are the IRGC now. So they can't make a deal without running it by the IRGC. Maybe someone like Vahidi, maybe even General Salami is in there, and he's like, you better make a good deal because I don't want just a 2-inch hoagie anymore. I want a foot long. And they're like, yeah, you don't really stack up to be a foot long, General Salami. You're basically a 6-inch sub at best. And he's like, I will skewer you with one of my toothpicks. But Iran's obviously going to launch as much as they can at their Gulf partners right now. They're in their last death throes, in my opinion, with no other options really on the table except to launch ballistic missiles at everyone around them. So this would be night 3 tonight, and the Secretary of War basically already gave us the movie trailer. Pete Hegseth is quoted as saying, we will be busy tonight. So Iran announced that the Strait of Hormuz is closed, but the US Navy and Air Force just had a long, exciting night and didn't even leave their number. And we're out here traveling. We're in Arizona right now, so I hope you guys enjoy this background, spicing it up a little bit. Arizona is fantastic.
Okay, isn't Arizona hot during summer? What is hot for you, I guess? I don't know. I'm pretty sure Texas, places like that gets really hot, right? I was surprised like how hot it gets. I'm like, wow, what do Americans know of hot? But no, America, like, there are places that are really hot. There are places that are really freezing. It's all type of biomes.
But let's talk about the actual sequence of events here. So if we rewind 36 hours, the sequence of events is wild. On Tuesday, an Iranian drone brought down a U.S. Army AH-64 Apache over the Strait of Hormuz. Some of the rumors I'm seeing is that the Shahed drones struck the Apache helicopter and they didn't explode.
Yeah, I've watched the AI tele video. I think I'm gonna post after this video. Maybe I post. Nah, I'm gonna post after this video. It's scheduled later, which basically showed like how it hit the rotor, how the drone probably hit the rotor and like damaged the rotor and didn't explode, which is like baddest luck there can be because you can't really time that. That has to be a luck.
Which allowed the Apache helicopter the ability to crash land. And then both crew members are pulled from the water uninjured. Again, this is just speculation at this point from what I've seen from some sources that I trust, but there will be a full investigation. Remember, full investigation will get us the exact way that this actually went down, but they were rescued by a sea drone. And
you can't crash land from a helicopter. You just crash. There is no land. It's just gonna fall. Plane can glide, helicopter just straight fall.
Austin-based company rescued this crew while they were sitting in the Persian Gulf floating around. So just amazing. We're living in wild times right now. Basically, I think if there were aliens, we wouldn't be able to meet them because they'd be like, wait, you guys are rescuing down aircrew with...
Hold on, what if you damage this part here? In civilian cars like Waymos and things, why would anyone damage that? But in something like this, rescue boats or military-esque things, if you just damage this, doesn't that like make the whole boat like not controllable? I don't know. Shouldn't you put something in internal or something? Maybe you need visual thing, right? Like, I don't know, man. This feels like just direct, like, okay, if it gets damaged, that's it.
With drones, these people are absolutely wild. We can't meet these humans.
So in a fighter jet, you don't wait until the radar warning light comes on to know what threats are trying to shoot you down. You know to prepare for it before the threat shows up. Same principle applies to your savings. I mean, look at what we've uncovered on this channel. Iran mining the Strait of Hormuz. Markets swinging on a single X post. Record national debt with no end in sight. And somehow the S&P 500 is still partying like it's 1999. That doesn't exactly pass the sniff test. So I did what any good fighter pilot does before a mission. I got educated.
Yeah, well, go to original video page from the support this channel. What do you mean Max Follier? Did he create entire website? Is he collaborating with this? Interesting.
Clear a call today.
But obviously Washington said this was a brutal attack on American forces. That Shahed drone hitting the helicopter could have obviously killed those two aviators. Tehran's going to call that false pretext, as they do. But either way, the clock starts. Night one, the U.S. answers precision munitions from Air Force and Navy fighters into Iranian air.
I love how F-35 has a malfunction. We did it. We shot down F-35. Right? Anything gets any like issues or it's definitely Iran. Like everybody, like even official, like in Twitter, tweets it like, yeah, look at, sends AI video, also like them hitting something, sends AI video of them hitting Lincoln. But when Apache actually goes down, oh, it wasn't us, this is fake news. Obviously, they knew what's gonna come after that. Apache's down, I think we know what's coming. So they're like, oh, it wasn't us.
Defense batteries, ground control stations,
this is just
and
insane. Look at that, look at that.
Sites ringing across.
Look at that. I know people are going to say, what you talking about? Ukraine-Russia thing is much worse, this and that. No, I haven't seen a single clip that looks like that. Is this like stars falling? If you look anywhere, it's just like multiple things are falling. Look at that.
Across the Strait of Hormuz, explosions heard everywhere. CENTCOM said the operation was a proportional response to the recent attacks on U.S. forces and international commercial ships that were transiting regional waters.
Cluster is coming.
Reply came in two waves, as they do. The IRGC claims it struck 18 U.S. targets across Ali al-Salem and Aman al-Bajair in Kuwait and Sheikh Asa Air Base in Bahrain, and they sent drones into the Fifth Fleet's anchorage. There is some footage circulating out there of showing some explosions near the Fifth Fleet, but there's no confirmation of the actual Fifth Fleet headquarters actually being hit right now. And then they're also saying they hit an F-35, and they're saying it was either the hangar or the F-35. So again, spotty reports coming out of Iran, but they're not nothing. As we know, our boy Sun Tzu says never underestimate the enemy. So they're going to lob everything they have. Their ballistic missile stockpiles at this point are down about 90%. So they are very low on those ballistic missiles, and they're going to ration them. So that's why we see them launching 10 or so at a time, waiting multiple days between the launches, trying to get their last vestiges of their missile programs ready to go. But then also today, it looks like another oil tanker, the MT Jalveer, took two Hellfires to the engine room after the crew ignored repeated warnings. So not only is the US stepping up these surgical deliberate strikes, they're stepping up the surgical deliberate way that the blockade is being enacted, with the US now looking to take over Karj Island, which is just wild. And this will be a big turning point when the mullahs realize that, yeah, it's permanent now that your money, your $500 million a day, is being bled out of your country because you couldn't come to the table with anything that resembled common sense. I mean, they're basically responsible for their own destiny at this point, and I think it's becoming pretty clear. But how do you run 2 straight nights of strikes across a country at an enemy that actually shoots back? How do you do that? Because the tactical problem here is huge, and from my seat, I want to give you some insider information. So we're about 100 days into the war, and Iran's still putting drones over countries at night, ballistic missiles, but they're doing it in a way less way than we saw them do it before. This is what their plan was. They wanted to reconstitute during the ceasefire, get everything they could into hidden bunkers, and then pull it out and then quickly launch ballistic missiles or launch drones. Basically, everything in their inventory now that still has some function is underground. So what does that mean? Well, it means likely a lot of bunker busters will be a part of the attack plan going in. So when you're actually wargaming this out, and you're building the mission planning cell that's creating the
US military. When in doubt, always use bunker buster. There you go, job done.
targets, you got to think that Iran's big domino right now is the Strait of Hormuz and underground missiles, ballistic missiles, and drones. So how do you strike those? Well, first you got to take down anything protecting them. So we've done target imagery reviews, and I'll probably do a live stream later today if you want to tune into that, where I'll review some of the actual targets that are likely being hit. But you got to bring in seed jets. SEAD, Suppression of Enemy Air Defenses, for you acronym lovers. You're welcome. I know you were sitting there waiting. You're like, he hasn't given us an acronym yet. I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, there you go. We're good now. But the F-16CJ, that's the wild weasel. That's the airplane whose entire job description is daring an enemy radar operator to turn on your radar so that that harm can basically introduce itself in not so nice of a way. The harm missile goes in and tracks the actual radar beam that's turned on. And then behind the door, let's talk about the...
So I'm going to guess F-16CJs are like Super Hornets, but for Air Force. Because to me, it feels like they do similar jobs. The Super Hornets are more sophisticated than the F-16CJs. At least that's what the feeling I got.
freight trains, or the door kickers, as I like to call them. That's the F-15E Strike Eagles. That's my old office, my first office. I love that thing. It hauls heavy precision loads like the bunker buster bombs that we've talked about before. Bunker buster bombs, GBU-54s, 2,000-pound bombs. I mean, the works can be carried on the Strike Eagle. So likely that is the big door kicker right now. After the radars are taken down by the Wild Weasel, bring in the F-15E, and then the F-35s can be up there as well, tracking, seeing what the IRGC is going to do in response, and you team that up with F-18s doing their surgical strikes, blasting off of carriers, and you've basically got the Avengers assembling, but in this case, the Avengers have laser-guided bombs.
On your left.
So wave one was the story. We know this has gone on for 2 nights, but it's going to ramp up tonight. Tonight maybe being one of the biggest strike packages ever to strike Iran. So Iran's going to throw everything they can at it to try to keep that from happening. But even though they've been reconstituting through this ceasefire, potentially upgrading their surface-to-air missiles, their man pads,
The Avengers things make me think. You know that Avengers scenes where they all fight? It's big battleground. Literally a ground where they fight like it's like Julius Caesar or like 10th, you know, like 2,000 years ago or something like 12th or 13th century, like some kind of an old style battle. I'm like, okay, where is United States and their bombers like B-1 Lancers and all that, like carpet bombing the hell out of everything. In reality, that's what it would be. Like they would throw a level of bombs, the whole playfield would look like a massive fireball. Not everybody just punching each other in this like dramatic thing. I think we are forgetting the level of bombs militaries like USA and big militaries carry. That's what would have happened. I know people will be like, yeah, but they have superpowers. Like, yeah, like that's easy cheat code. The whole ground would look like a big fireball from space. They would drop that much bombs. Not to mention nukes. At that point, they would just use nukes. Existential crisis, Thanos is here, let's throw nukes.
The US military has been doing the exact same things. In war rooms across the Pentagon, likely every mission planning cell is determining how to protect our fighter jets, how to keep jets from getting shot down by maybe some advanced technology that may have come in from China when they flew those 15 cargo flights into Iran prior to the war kicking off. No, that was just Timu. They were just bringing in amazing trinkets because Majab Khamenei, he just loves his little trinkets. Or maybe they were bringing in cardboard boxes to give Majab Khamenei a body at this point. But the IRGC is actually running the country right now, and their whole goal is to stay as hardlined as possible. If you read their strategy straight up, they're basically saying they won't fold at all from the demands that they made early on. They want full war reparations, they want Americans to leave the entire region, and they want the ability to develop a nuclear program. Because remember, they're the hardline guys that are sitting there thinking the only way they stay in power is by having 5,000, 10,000 ballistic missiles.
Yeah, there you go. Sure, that's gonna happen. Yeah, USA, give us all the money, right? Give us Strait of Hormuz. We're gonna keep our nukes. You're gonna give us Miami, and also like, screw it, all the beaches you have, right? Hawaii, give us Hawaii as well. We need vacation. Yeah, sure, that's gonna happen.
10,000 drones to protect their nuclear production program. That's their whole goal, would be to get America to back off, reconstitute and build back those 10,000 ballistic missiles, those 10,000 drones, and then get a nuclear weapon so they could threaten the world with it. And likely, they would use it because remember, the Ayatollah class, they're religious extremists. So they're extremists who think that they're the true representative of God on earth, and anything going against them is going against God. And that's how they've gaslighted their people as well. And that's how they've justified ruthlessly slaughtering their
I've thought about this, a religious element of this, right? And I'm like, do they really believe it? Or do they just use that as a weapon to get power? And I'm starting to think they actually believe it. Because if you think rationally, there is nothing that Iran can do against USA. They can hope for like, okay, American people get pissed off, Trump will be overthrown. They can hope for all these things, but this is all wishy-washy things. In reality, IRGC and Iran can't do nothing to USA. That's how powerful USA is. And they're still fighting on. They're not making a deal. That makes me think they actually believe all the religious element. They actually believe that, what they're doing is, like God's mission, and they're going to be fine. They actually believe that. They're not just using religion as a way to, get power. They actually believe that. At least that's the feeling I'm getting. Because any country you can think of, if they were in this position, they would be like, okay, USA is too powerful. Let's make a deal. Let's do something. Let's make some kind of peace deal because we can't fight on. Look at India-Pakistan thing. That lasted 3-4 days before like, okay, ceasefire. This has gone too long. Iran thing has gone way too long, multiple months now. And it's against United States, the biggest military there is. This is insane, man.
Their people. 40,000 could be the number, even if it's 5,000 over the last few months. Both of those numbers are pretty bad. But that's how they've stayed in power for all these years, is basically take no prisoners, shoot first, ask questions later. So that's the regime that the administration in the US is trying to negotiate with right now. So it's pretty wild to think about trying to negotiate with terrorists. And to me, this is basically the only way to do it. Okay, you guys want to negotiate? Yeah, we want to negotiate. Okay, cool, come to the table. Wait, no, we actually don't want to negotiate. Okay, cool, hold on to these bombs for me. Hold this for me, dude. That's basically the only way you can do that. You go back in, you strike, you see if they'll come back to the table. You give them an off-ramp. And this is from The Art of War, from Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu says, give your enemy an off-ramp and an ability to save face. So that's what we're seeing the administration do right now is, okay, come to the table, we'll give you an option. Nope, not gonna do that. Well, okay, cool, then we're gonna go ahead and crush you. And speaking of that, some things that I cover on Pepperbox are actually some strike footage that I can't show you here. So if you wanna see me break down actual legitimate strike footage from the narco boats, even strikes going on in Iran, pop over to Pepperbox. I'll put a link in the description for that. I think you'll really enjoy it because on Pepperbox, I basically can take the gloves off and talk about whatever. So that link's in the description if you want to check that out. But that brings us to the 40 chess.
I'm going to say this. You don't just want to bomb Iran. You need to figure out what you need to do in order to make sure that there is a deal. Now, does that mean showing overwhelming force? then do that. But don't just bomb, go back to talking for a deal, bomb again, do that and just rinse and repeat. That doesn't help anyone. This drains money from United States and this hurts Iran at a larger scale, because this is the destroying infrastructure which will be very hard to replace in the future. Whatever happens in Iran, Iran is getting permanent damage, right? The example I'm going to give you is this. If you're really powerful and the guy you're facing, they don't know how powerful you are, you better threaten them in a way that they understand. Because if they don't understand, then you'll have to punch them. Now you have to punch somebody, your fist hurts, and they also got the damage. But if you did like fine job of threatening them, all of this could have been avoided. So you really need to figure it out, how to make sure that IRGC makes a deal. Because if they don't, it hurts you and it hurts Iran as well, right? Both party gets hurt, one more than the other, but still both, like, money depletes and destruction happens. That's not good. It's rinse and repeat. It's not good, man.
Strategic analysis section. So what is Tehran actually looking for? Well, they're not really looking for victory in the way that we would think of victory. They're looking to hold on to their fiefdom. That's the whole goal of the IRGC. If they can hold on to their fiefdom without...
Yes, surviving is also a victory in a way, because they're surviving the biggest power there is. This, like, surviving final boss, that is also a victory in a way. So if they survive, they can just, we survived America. That is also in a way victory for them.
Means to them is they can slowly develop the uranium behind the scenes and basically build that program that they say is civilian in nature. And then one day we all wake up and Iran has a nuclear weapon and they're using it to threaten the world and get what they want. And then they really know that that will keep their hardline murderous regime in power. And that's their ultimate goal, is to do that. So these strikes...
You know what? It would be really effed up if Iran somehow makes a bomb. This is hypothetical, by the way, but I'm talking hypothetical here. Iran gets a bomb, somehow they sneak close to America with their small submarines. It launches even medium-range ballistic missile from there somehow, blows on American city. Now America gets pissed off. They blow a lot of things in Iran and everywhere. Now this chain effect starts where everybody throws that missile, and there you go. We have now Fallout scenario, Fallout video game scenario, where everybody's blown up and we're living in post-apocalypse. Only because Iran launched a bomb. Okay, this is very hypothetical. This is very, like, fantasy Hollywood-ish. But there is a real-world chance that this could happen in some scenario. And that is why USA is saying Iran can't have nuclear bomb. I know people are like, oh, but Iran wasn't any close. Oh, but, like, we have no indication of, like, there is a chance. And that chance is too big of a chance. A lot of people are not realizing that, like, that is what like United States is saying. Whatever chance that is too big of a chance, because nuclear bomb is not something you just want to play around. If it starts, you don't want to know the world. You better die after that, because you don't want to be living in post-apocalyptic world, because this is not going to be a video game. This is going to be, like, much worse. Slow, like, you're not going to become a radioactive mutant. Yeah, there is no radioactive mutant. It's slow death.
Strikes are basically coming in and showing Iran that the U.S. is serious. And if they want to come to the table, maybe preserve some resemblance of the regime, they might be able to take this off-ramp. But I don't know about you, it just looks like to me that now with Karj Island potentially being taken, we're looking at a point where Iran won't be able to threaten the world energy markets anymore. So that's going to take a big load off, and it might even bring in some European partners, because Europe has kind of cozied up to Iran because of the energy deals. Remember, the UK skims a little bit of money off of every barrel that comes out of the Strait of Hormuz, so they have basically a sweetheart deal with the world and with Iran to take a little bit of a premium with the Brent crude futures trading that they're able to skim that money off of. So now if the US is in control of most of that, we might see Europe actually kind of come back into the fold and be more of an ally to the US. So lots of 4D chess moving parts here. What do you guys think happens? Let me know in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think.
Yeah, but I think UK made it clear that they are not Europe. They've been saying that a lot. Brexit kind of solidified it. Can you really count that as Europe? It's UK, but it's like Europe as a whole benefit. I don't know, man. But yeah, Europe is kind of like in the center right now. Like, yeah, we don't like aggressive things the United States doing, but we don't also want to, like, go against it. they're like 2 feet on the 2 boat type of it. If they don't choose one boat, they might not have any boat, right? Maybe that scenario would come. I don't know. Geopolitics is really strong right now, like really volatile. It's going to be interesting what happens in the future. Right, well, there you go. If you like my channel, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.